Hello, everybody. It is Shade Rock. We're doing another retrospective, though this one is also serving a little bit for a couple different reasons. One, I told this story on stream yesterday, even when we were streaming Final Fantasy 14. For those unaware, Battle Alliance SRT has been on hold because I was waiting for a new computer. It came in early, so I'm just looking for stuff to fill the gap and stress test. So we don't have the normal background. Instead, we're gonna have cross-ray, not footage. I'm actively gonna be playing during this. So would you like to actually fully introduce yourself after I got the little tangent?
Me, hello.
Our normal mod who joins us all the time.
I don't have a life.
Holy sh... Sorry, as it's going, the game footage immediately just... You know what, I will share screen just so I can also serve to stress test my stream itself. My Ptolemaeus just went right to critical. So today's retrospective is going to be on, I would say, possibly one of the more well-known introductions for the Mobile Suit Gundam franchise for here in the States. And that is Mobile Suit Gundam Wing.
I just recently watched this with Shade Rock here.
I took PK through the entirety of Gundam Wing and ended it with Endless Waltz.
Yep.
The best.
That was something, all right.
Yeah. So, as I said, Gundam Wing, I've said it a couple times during, not Ballast, or the Super Robots, and actually I think even during Battle Lines. Wing holds a special place to me since it actually is my first Gundam series I ever watched. It's got its... Now, I will say, I will be the first to admit, it's got its fair share of problems. Mostly in pacing.
Right.
Which I think...
feel like pacing was a little bit off at times.
I would say the pacing in particular, the issue is, certain characters don't get enough development. Which makes sense because if I remember correctly, Gundam Wing is the first time that they really worked with a large cast of Gundam pilots. I'm not counting G Gundam because technically every Mobile Suit pilot is a Gundam pilot.
Yeah.
And many of them are villains of the week, or they come in for their development and then they leave, with Delmon being the very main focus.
Yeah.
I would say they've gotten better with it in later years, especially Double O. But, I will say, though, like, in terms of the overall narrative, I think everything with the Romefeller Foundation kind of turning war into a zero-sum game with the mobile dolls is a very... I would say it's a very poignant thing today, well, with the rise of drone combat.
Yeah. It's a very real fear.
Yeah. For those who have never seen Gundam Wing, the way it opens is... It starts with Operation Meteor, where they shoot 5 Gundams to Earth disguised as shooting stars. The Gundam Sandrock, piloted by Katja Wababa Winna. The Gundam Death Scythe, piloted by Duo Maxwell. Gundam Heavy Arms by Troa Barton. Shenlong Gundam by Wu Fei, but he never calls it that.
He calls it the Lutaku.
And then finally...
The
Nitaku. And then finally, the main Gundam of Wing, the Wing Gundam, piloted by Hiro Yui. Mr. I'm going to wipe away your tear while walking by you coldly and say the most famous phrase from the show.
I'll kill you.
I'll kill you. And yeah, that's the whole thing. It pretty much the whole first half of Wing is them curb stomping the Earth Alliance.
Yep.
There is no question that Gundams are leagues better than everything they've got.
They're at a heavy advantage, and They are just going in like the guerrilla warfare fighters that they are.
I think I mentioned it during Alliance. No, during Super Robot Wars X. It's like you put the wing pilots together with the Lush, you're going to get shit fucked.
Yep.
And that's really it for a lot of the early episodes. Gundam pilots aren't really doing much outside of just destroying military facilities. I would say a lot of the more intricate plot is coming from Relina and the forces of Oz, in particular, Treize and Zex.
And then further past that, it's not until after the halfway point that we really start getting in deep with the character of the other pilots.
Yeah, I would say Hero blowing himself up is the turning point.
Hero blowing himself up is the turning point, yes.
I will acknowledge it. There is a running gag in the Gundam community about the wing crew that they will all self-destruct.
Yep.
Hero constantly threatens to self-destruct.
Then he finally fucking did it.
During the context of the scene is they are basically cornered, though pushing back Oz, until Lady Un makes the underhanded play of threatening to blow up the colonies, which they are fighting to defend. Dr. J, the creator of Wing, basically says they will stand down, but they will never turn over the Gundams. Hero opens his cockpit, stands on the hatch, stares Zex right at his mobile suit, holds up the button, and self-destructs.
Hero self-destruct. Finally!
And I would say that is probably the turning point. Like, I would say Wu Fei's turning point is his duel with Treize. Like, the actual sword duel. Because up to that point, Wu Fei is a bit of a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he's, like, the worst character ever, but it's, like...
But he...
very much warrior monk, and the translations do not help his dialogue. Because if you go just by the English dub, he comes off as, like, he just hates women.
He comes off as a bit of a misogynist.
Where it's very much he hates soft-hearted people on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Like, he hates soft-hearted people. Like, in particular, the first scene that shows us is his encounter with Katsuya 9. Where she was making very emotionally charged decisions instead of tactical. Yeah. And it led to not only the death of her students, but the destruction of the equipment she was supposed to be protecting. And then Treize kicks his fucking ass.
Just puts all that warrior spirit to shame.
I would say the other turning point, like where you really start getting to the characters, in particular Hero, is the accidental murder. When he shoots.
When we're finally aware of it, I'd say.
Yeah, because
that definitely seems like something that happened earlier.
Yes, no, it happened before the self-destruct. So Hero accidentally kills the peace faction of the Alliance. Which
that was already bad enough.
Yeah, and this guilt starts eating away at him, and then he does the self-destruct, and then he goes on this road trip with Troa, basically going to the man's family. Like, the leader of the Earth Alliance, his remaining family, gives them a gun and tells them they have every right to kill him.
Yep. But they don't.
None of them do.
Because that's not what he would have wanted.
Yeah. And, like, it's just constantly this thing with Hero. Like, he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing anymore.
Why is he still fighting?
And...
Why is he still here?
Yeah, because, like, that's the big thing with Hero. It's the question of, why am I fighting? Why am I killing? And with Troa, you feel... Troa's very much the problem of... He's a very peaceful guy.
Troa has such a conflict
Troa and Catra both have the conflicts with the shit they do, though Troa is very much focused on, if I focus on just the mission, I'm good. Catra, on the other hand, oh shit, poor Catra.
Oh my god, Catra. The him creating Wing Zero.
When Catra's full arc, I would say Catra's arc goes into full swing when they go into space and he makes Wing Zero.
Yep.
So after Hero
having such a hard time with his dad.
Yeah. So after Hero goes around doing his apology tour, we have an amazing one-on-one rematch between Zex Marquise and Hiro Yui.
Yep.
Which, I'm sorry, I love my favorite thing of that, because Zex rebuilds the Wing Gundam, but his one condition, the self-destruct's been disconnected.
Yep.
Hero's like, fuck it.
You're not blowing yourself up this time, kid.
And then meanwhile, he's like, no, I'm going to use the heavy arms. Troa modified the heavy arms, so heavy arms does the thing. Once it's out of bullets, it ejects its Gatling gun arm because it's just dead weight at that point. Underneath
it this time, Troa hit a little surprise for Hero.
Which is a beam sword, which is not standard equipment for that machine. So, gave him a beam sword for a nice duel. Meanwhile, to be in the spirit of fairness, though I believe it's the right arm of the Tallgeese, had its parts removed so it was weakened to simulate the destroyed right arm from their first duel. Because Zex is that.
And also, I think it was he used pieces from the Tallgeese to repair
fix Wing.
Which so it was just.
There was so, like, in particular, Wing at its core is very much about the nature of not war itself, but the soldiers. Because you have this huge thing of, like, honor between Hero and Zex, especially Zex Marquise and Trez Crucianata.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say once they go into space and we get the full swing introduction of the mobile dolls is where that comes in.
Yep.
Because, as I've mentioned, the mobile dolls, for those unaware, are autonomous killing machines. They are remote-controlled mobile suits, and they're fucking horrifying. Once they start coming in, Trey's basically betrays the faction that's been funding him the entire series because he was inspired by the Gundam pilots. All the shit they were doing, and the fact...
incredibly inspirational.
There's a reason why the manga retelling of Wing is called The Glory of Losers. I believe Trey's even says it, that he will gladly be a loser. He basically will, when they're showing up the mobile dolls, he shows up in a normal ass Leo and blows up 3 of them.
Yep. God, Trey's was a very interesting character.
And he's a very interesting character because of it. Like, because of, like, the shit he does and the nature of, like, I'll be honest, I have problems with Trey's Trey's, I think, is more of a philosophical talking point.
Yes.
But he also has the same issue as Char Aznable in the UC era.
Yep.
Where a lot of people just don't understand him. To explain what I mean by that, anyone who doesn't know, who hasn't seen The Problem of Char Aznable, a lot of people in the UC era like to act like they know what Char was thinking, when it's just the public persona he put on. Best example, this is Full Frontal. Because Full Frontal's like this nihilistic man who doesn't see any redemption for humanity, blah, 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 when that really wasn't Char.
It wasn't Char at all.
But UC is a whole other conversation. But then there is... I'm trying to remember here. When we get into space, and the Wing Zero problem. So, Catra sees his father die.
After all the struggling that that his father put in to protect his colony,
They
to keep them autonomous.
they side with Oz.
They side with Oz and are directly responsible for his death.
Because Catra's father says he's not going to fight this war. He's taking himself out of the equation, which means that they kill him. And then, because that's very much the thing at the end of Wing, it's the only way to win is not to fight.
Play.
Hence the glory of losers. But Catra makes the Wing Zero.
It's some mad build of revenge.
And the Zero is fucking horrifying as a concept. The Zero system as it exists would appear multiple times throughout the Gundam series. I would say the closest we've gone to it post-Wing has probably been, I would say, the Alea Vignana system in Iron-Blooded Orphans and the current permit system for the gun frame technology of Witch of Mercury.
Yep.
Basically, where those feed, like, mechanical information to you, like, where the machine becomes an extension of your body, the Zero System's cockpit feeds all the combat data on the field to your mind.
In real time.
Including all the possibilities of how you might die.
Yep. It's a quantum computer.
In Super Robot Wars X, it figured out a time paradox that was going on in real time.
Yep. That and in
Battle Alliance.
the Gundam Battle Alliance, Hero's because of Hero piloting it, he's one of the only pilots that early on realizes, wait, something's not right here.
Like, Hero consistently knows that not only that something is wrong with time, but that we don't belong, that the breaks are happening, and just consistently adjusts quickly.
Yeah. Of course, all the pilots adjust very quickly because they recognize us as allies as we traverse through time and space.
But Hero seems to be the only one who knows that it's a simulation.
Yeah, but Amuro and Char get close at point.
Very close, and we're just like, oh shit, run!
Oh shit, no. This is too close,
like,
close.
It's very explicit in Battle Line. It's like, we can't let Amuro or Char figure out, like, so just run. Meanwhile, with Hero, it's, no, there's no hope. He knows, just fucking roll with it.
Yeah, figures that a Gundam pilot would figure it out.
And
that's, like, in our first interaction with Hero.
Like, he just knows. So the Zero is created. Catra blows up, I believe, 2 colonies and seemingly kills Troa.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the entire time he sees them as enemies, he is like off his fucking rocker.
You can tell by the way that his eyes are just staring.
Meanwhile, Duo, who's now living under a false life thanks to fucking Hero.
Yep.
Stealing his identity. We were like kind of breezing because like Gundam Wing is 54 episodes. There's a lot of plot points.
It's a lot.
But like, I'll be honest, Hero stuff is not supposed to be funny, but like some of it with its absurdity is kind of fun, but it's still plausible.
I'll kill you.
The I kill you is just for the delivery. Hero giving his whole speech for his introduction. It's like, sir, this is a Wendy's.
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
But then, oh god. So with the Wing Zero as an introduction, it passes through the various other pilots and gives them their arcs, or at least their finales for some of them.
Yeah.
For Duo, he nearly loses control of it, and he's only in it for a few minutes.
Only in it for documents, but oh man, the shit he sees.
He's tormented by witnessing the destruction of the Death Scythe, and he points the twin Buster Rifle at a colony where the woman he loves and who would eventually be his wife is.
And luckily, he
it was just like an illusion. Then from him, it goes to Zex, and Zex kind of then it goes to Hero for a little bit, and like he doesn't even like have the emotional breakdown. He just goes on a murder spree in the facility.
That's when he was piloting the
Mercury, and his was, I have it actually right here.
No, it wasn't the Mercury.
He was in the Mercurius, but that when Hero first got into it, they were testing out the Zero System, how it worked, and they were captured.
Right.
That's when Duo escapes at Death Scythe Hell, and Wu Fei gets the new Nitaku.
Right.
From there, they go back to Earth to retrieve Wing and Heavy Arms. Wing. They just retrieve Wing, and they do the whole thing with the Sand Kingdom. Meanwhile, Zex, as an ambassador, with the whole fuck story that is Lady Une. We haven't talked about Lady Une.
She's interesting, alright.
Lady Une starts as an unlikable bitch who threatens to blow up the colonies to stop the Gundams. And in
she has this alternate personality of herself.
That's like this nice, caring person.
And it's really weird. It's like some sort of disassociation.
Yeah, she's got...
It's not... I can't speak for anyone.
From what I could tell with none of the material they've provided, it is not her creating a second personality out of like a mental disorder or anything. It is from the stress and the sheer, not absurdity, but like the fact that like what Trey's needed was so vastly different than what she thought should be present as a Robofeller military.
Yeah.
Which was when the original Un we see is like this cold, calculated. She literally blows up Rolina's father with a bomb. And shows no emotion doing it outside of anger at Rolina for nearly handing her the bomb.
Yeah.
And that is before Rolina pulls the gun.
Yeah.
God, I love how that became a plot point. It's like everyone had to like keep patting her down to make sure she didn't have a gun.
So great.
But then it's more so just like she operates at these two extremes and then they meet in the middle towards the end.
Yeah.
Which is
she seems to very much be in a better place once she's accepted that part of herself.
Yeah. And like it's more so, and it's also when she comes to understand really what Trey's meant, because that's sort of her whole thing. She has this idea in her head of like, oh, this is what Mr. Trey's wants, and Zex, knowing that everyone else is like, no,
you don't understand.
He didn't want mass murder.
It's very much kind of a Haman situation, to be honest.
Yeah, actually.
Like I haven't seen as much about Haman, but I get that vibe, you know?
Actually, I would say it's more like Char, but Haman, because like I said, it's been forever since I finished Double Zeta.
It's as if there was a mini Char trying to figure out who Char was.
Yeah, because...
and getting it horribly wrong.
Haman and Char both have the issue of, like, they want something, but, like, they both need someone to guide them, and they're both looking for that person. Haman finds it in Judao.
Yeah.
Or, like, she sees him as, like, if he was on her side, like, he'd be the one to show her the way, what she needs.
Yeah. For
Char, it was Lala Soon. And we all know how that...
I know what happened there.
Fucking Amuro.
Fucking Haman.
But,
Moving on.
Yeah. So
Key to end.
Then we get once they go back to Earth, we get everything with the Sand Kingdom. Relina's been. We kind of gloss over Relina because a lot of the stuff she does isn't really important until the Sand Kingdom. You get.
It's important
for her
for
character.
her journey.
Because she's learning. Yeah.
She's for most of the first half, she's just hunting down Hero. She's trying to follow Hero while also trying to figure out all this shit that led to her father's death, I believe, right?
Yes, and also what it means to be a peacecraft.
Yeah. Figure out what it really means.
So from that, as she's going through all her shit, like trying to figure out what it means to be a peacecraft, pulling a gun on at least, I believe, 2 government officials.
Yep.
And then attempting.
She gets patted down later.
Yeah, and I believe 1 near assassination.
1 near assassination, yeah. Maybe 2.
I don't know. No, she doesn't attempt it. She pulls the gun, but she doesn't pull it. She does shoot Un.
Yeah, but you know, kind of
had it coming after killing her father.
Yeah, it was one of those. Yeah, no, you killed my father, bitch.
So Relina reestablishes the Sand Kingdom, which had been reclaimed by her brother Zex Marquise.
Yep.
Cause God, the fucking. Okay, I want to go just a little bit about mechanical design. The Toggies is the basis for all the mobile suits in Wing. And the fucking G's that thing puts you through on Earth were enough to make you black out.
Yeah, it was kind of nuts.
We wouldn't see something, I think, push a pilot that far until the Overflag with Graham Acre and 00.
Yeah.
He never blacked out, but he got fucking close fighting Setsuna to blacking out. He did cough up blood a few times. But,
Hey, buddy. Just want to let you know, it's still there. The good old crackling.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay, that's the thing. But then, so Hiro, Catra, and Noin start fighting for the Sand Kingdom, which is against the Roma Fire Foundation Oz, which, again, want to make war a zero-sum game where it never ends, and they could sit back and enjoy war while drinking their wine.
Yeah.
You know, like pieces of shit.
Like pieces of shit rich people that they are.
So they're preaching total pacifism, and a lot of groups are like, you might have a point.
Yeah. You know, like, honestly, war's kind of dumb.
Yeah. War, like, that's why I kind of resonate with the Gundam pilots, because they never fought. Their war was never against the Earth Alliance. It was always against Oz and the Rockefeller Foundation, who wanted a perpetual war.
Yeah.
God, I forgot how hard these things are to kill. But, then, as they're going through that, through a series of events, and a rebellion started by Treize, Hiro loses Wing. Let's talk about Epion.
That's what I was thinking of when I was thinking of Hero getting exposed to the Zero system.
Because he was very familiar with it when he was dealing with it for the first time. He's like,
when he was fighting Wing Zero.
When he was first in the Epion, he's like, oh shit, this is Wing Zero all over again. Because
This is the Zero system.
Because Treize gave him a deal when he gave him the Epion. It is, I can't remember the exact deal, but basically if you find a reason to, like, the Epion system basically showed him nothing. He could not figure out a reason for him to end, a way for him to end this war.
Yeah.
And basically his deal with Hero was, if you don't, we kill each other.
Yep.
There's no point. After just battle in the Epion system, nearly losing himself. Hero falls on his fucking knees and starts having this fucking crisis.
Has this whole crisis of identity, which he'd already been having, but it like just amplifies.
So he doesn't know what to do anymore. And he just starts fighting to defend the Sand Kingdom for a little bit while he's trying to figure his shit out. Which...
But he's continuing to use the Epion.
And this...
over time, he's just slowly forgetting...
who his friends are and who his enemies are.
Are you my enemy?
Because yeah, that's the main issue with the Zero and Epion systems. You lose yourself. You can't tell friend or foe apart anymore. So... through the series of events from there, eventually him and Zex meet up, who is at this point in the Wing Zero and having his own crisis because of it. From there we have them finally deciding, hey, your suit, my suit fits you better.
Yeah. Hey, I think I know who really supposed to be wearing this one.
Yeah. So
Trade.
From there they switch suits. Hero goes back to space. Zex kind of walks around and then fucking White Fang. Basically a fourth God, I forget. At the end of it all, there are 3 factions, which these are the 3 final factions we are going to talk about for the rest of this. There's the New Earth the United Earth Sphere.
I believe so.
Yeah. It's basically the same for the EFF. You know, it's the world united. No more individual governments. One government under one ruler. From there, we have the White Fang, which was basically a faction of people in space that are very much compared to Xeon.
Yeah.
Independence for space noise, we govern ourselves, all that good shit. But they also want to blow up the Earth.
Yeah, which is kind of bad.
To do this, they took over a giant space laser called Libra. Also, interesting thing about a lot of the Oz stuff, they all are named after star signs.
Yep.
So they're building Libra. Their new leader is Milardo Peacecraft, or Zex Marquise. And Hero attempted to assassinate Relita again.
Again, you know, it'd be like that.
She saw him there with the gun. He was waiting.
Oh. He's finally got to finish the job.
But nah, he doesn't kill her. He lets her live. He
realizes... Wait, there's another way to finish this.
Yep. He reaches the same conclusion he reaches in... Because it's mentioned in Super Robot Wars X that him, Zex, and Lelouch v. Britannia all reached the same conclusion. And that was that in the world that they were going to leave, ideally, Relina Peacecraft would be the kind of person to lead it.
Yep.
So... Hero sets himself, I'm gonna kill Zex Marquise again.
You know, as you do.
So, we go back to space for the final battle. During this whole time, they find Troa Barton, who has amnesia.
And it's really sad to see him like that.
He just doesn't know what the fuck to do with himself. And
he knows he should be doing something more than just working at the circus. But he doesn't know what it is anymore.
And of course...
That's so real.
Yeah. And during that, eventually he joins Hero, Catra... No, it's a Catra, Duo, and Troa in space during this time. Catra's like beating himself up over everything that happened to Troa. Because it is his fault.
It is entirely his fault that
So as they're going on, meanwhile Hero is just getting back to space. This is all going on. The last Earth Alliance facility in space, Barge, basically goes full blown. Fuck you! We're gonna blow up colonies.
War crimes.
And the White Fang goes to stop it, with the Gundam pilots also acting as a third faction. Because they've realized this is getting way out of control.
This is escalating way too much.
During it, it's the first time they see Zex in the Epion. He cuts...
Oh boy.
It's quite possibly the most insane feat the Epion does. He uses a beam sword to destroy a colony laser.
Yep.
Mechanical detail, Epion is a dueling suit. It is only really good at melee combat. But...
oh boy, did it show its metal.
He fucking destroyed it. Also in one of the best scenes, because it's scored to the instrumental version of Rhythm of Motion.
Yep.
Which is interesting, because they didn't even change the ending at that point. I mean, the opening to Rhythm of Motion.
Yep.
But, yeah, they go through this whole thing where, like, it's desperate. Duo and Catra trying to reach about loins. I try to figure out, Zax, what the fuck?
What's wrong with you? Nothing's wrong with
And
me.
God, can I just say, I feel bad for Noin. I legitimately feel bad for her. Like, she never agrees with it. She condones everything Zex does, but she can't help but still love him. And you know what? I'm kind of happy with how those two end.
Yeah. They just go out in space playing chess.
Yep. We'll get into that when we talk about Endless Waltz. I think that's fair to talk about a retrospective on Wing.
Oh yeah.
But, she's had multiple times where she could have shot Zex and ended it. Well, quote unquote ended it.
She could have ended it before it even began.
But she could never take the shot, and he could never kill her. He had times, the Epion easily outclassed her.
Yep. But he never lost how he felt about her.
Which, I'll be honest, that's something Zex is a very conflicted
Something
man.
Zex and Duo share.
They are protectors of the weak. Like, even Zex during this whole time, Zex has his own plan. The White Fang is a means to the end.
Yep.
Like, looking over the events, especially towards the end, you kind of figure out what the fuck Zex is doing. He's doing basically what we would see years later in Code Geass with Lelouch.
Yep.
Lelouch... And there's a reason why Lelouch and Zex said that they reached the same conclusion in X. They stir up this whole big war, and yeah, he makes sure it's televised. Every action he does, he makes sure everyone can see.
He wants to be the villain.
Because the colonies are...
That will unite everyone against him.
Yeah, it's also because he wants to unite the colonies, because the colonies themselves are talking about arming themselves for the first time, not knowing what the fuck that entails.
Yeah.
So he's like, you are going to see the horrors of war.
You're gonna see the horrors of war right on your doorstep, because that's the only option for you.
And as fucked as it is to say, it works. But, so after they all reunite, Hero, at this point I believe Hero is reunited with Wu Fei. Wutaku has seen better days. Wutaku has gone through some shit. Wu Fei is like off his fucking rocker. Cause, Wu Fei's decided no one in space should have any weapons. That he's going to destroy all sides and then take himself out.
Yeah, as you do.
Cause, his colony self-destructed. They'd rather destroy themselves than be part of the White Fang or Oz.
Which was very, very sad to see.
It's sad to see, but you know what? It's very much reminiscent of Catra. They took themselves out of the equation.
Yeah.
So he decides just to go on this rampage for weeks in Utaku, just fucking shit up. And
barely taking any time to repair himself.
yeah, at this point he's not
both emotionally and
physically.
He's
not sure anymore. He's lost sight of who his enemy is. So Hero's like,
just like everyone else.
So he's been picked up by Hero and I believe Sally Poe, and he's like, you know what? Your machine needs some desperate maintenance. Take mine. They put him in the fucking Wing Zero.
Yep, and oh boy,
it said some.
Is that something?
It does tell him like, my enemy is Trace Crucianata.
Yep.
So he decides to keep going after Trace.
It is the most honest that Zero has ever been.
I would say the two people Zero is the most honest with are, when it comes to emotion, like fix them emotionally, is Hiro Yui and Wu Fei, which mostly is because they are very similar characters. Wu Fei just needed that realignment of who his foe is. He reaches the same conclusion, like, no, we need to get rid of these mobile suits. They need to go.
Yep.
But he becomes determined to stop Zex Marquise and Trace Crucianata, but he knows Trace is his fight, and that Heroes. So he goes off with them, and I believe they put Troa in heavy arms, and Troa steals heavy arms, and
as you do.
And it helps him with the amnesia problem, because
He stole it all those years ago.
Well, it's not that he just. Well, it's not that he stole it all those years ago. It's because it's what the fuck Zero does.
Yep.
It's very much like going on a trip with Zuko.
Yeah.
You have an emotional awakening, or you reach the end of your arc. Troa remembers all his shit.
Or you end up as Top, where you've been having a whole journey with everyone.
And he's just like, what the fuck? So we get to the Battle of Libra. Oh boy, the Battle of Libra. The Battle of Libra has where we have the three sides, one led by Trace Crucianata, one led by Millardo Peacecraft, and then the Gundam pilots. It gets fucking insane.
Oh yeah.
It very much gets into a little bit of like the nature of soldiers, why we fight, like the course of the battlefield, all this different stuff. And I would say, quite possibly one of the most interesting things behind the scenes going on this are the creators of the Gundams. Fucking cockroaches they are.
Fucking cockroaches.
They don't die!
They've been somehow surviving this entire war.
The creators of Gundams are captured by Oz, survive that, captured by the White Fang, finish Libra, and survive, and then send it to self-destruct.
And survive.
No, they die there.
Ah, right. I'm forgetting that.
But,
because they're such cockroaches that
they
expect them to survive.
If I could be honest about, I think they kind of remind me of a little bit of a stand-in. The scientists behind any war. They made the Toggies. They made the mobile. I mean, they built Toggies, which means they are the grandfathers of all the mobile suits. And then they made the Gundam.
They kept building the implements.
The Gundams were made in response to their creation of the mobile suit. So they decide they're going to fuck with White Fang because they disagree with them too. Libra, their nice new space gun, has a problem.
Yep.
The gun breaks down every shot.
Oops.
They stated very clearly to Duo, this was on purpose.
Yep.
They also thought they somehow survived near assassination attempts by Hiro Yui, Duo Maxwell, and Wu Fei.
Yep. In fact, all three of them end up in the same goddamn jail cell, I'm pretty sure.
They do! Oh god, the fucking. And they build a new two new Gundams under their own noses.
Yep. All as an excuse to have them as test beds.
So yeah, they're fucking crazy. But then, so they have a whole thing going on with. Yeah, they have a whole thing with Duo, where Duo is the self-proclaimed god of death. Everything. Everything about Duo's whole motif, from the priest clothes, the mobile suit, using a scythe, everything about it. He is the god of death.
Yep. The god of death reborn.
Better than being a hero of a massacre. But, oh god, so he's now traveling with the fucking scientists who created the fucking Gundams.
Yep.
So he goes on this whole thing with them. Meanwhile, Hero's having his duel with Zex. Catra's having a sword duel with another girl in Libra. This shit happens. Their fucking ship that they're using as a base, Peace Million, just rams right into Libra to stop the main gun. And all this is going on as Wu Fei's having his climactic duel with Treize, and Wu Fei wanted to die. He legitimately wanted to die during that fight.
Yep.
But it didn't go that way. Instead, he killed Treize. Which just opens up a whole other problem we'll get into later.
Oh boy.
So then, they immediately, instead of like running away or trying to do anything with it, it's very much, I would say it's like a little bit like an Access Shock Light.
Sorts, yeah.
Where, the Gundam pilots start working, they all basically, actually, at this point, the Earth Alliance is pretty much fucked. They're destroyed.
Yep.
The Federation, not the Federation, White Fang really could give two fucking shits if it lands. So all the Gundam pilots are within the base, causing as much damage as they can, while fucking Zex and Hero are still having their duel. And yeah, this all is being televised to the entire world.
Oh, the world's a stage, and we are merely players.
Hero doesn't kill Milardo. He, I believe, cuts off Epion's arm. He's done, and Hero goes to destroy the core. Only issue is, he comes up to the core of Libra. The beam sword runs out of energy. Okay, I've got Vulcans. Spin. Out of bullets. He doesn't have the beam rifle anymore. So, I got one thing left. Starts entering self-destructs.
Of course. We're self-destruct.
Fucking Zex comes out, pulls out his beam sword. It's like, oh, we're still doing this shit? Stabs the core.
Oh, so it's like that. Got it.
And from there, only one block is left. And they're like, oh fuck, we don't know what to do. They don't know where Wu Fei is, they don't know where Hero is. Wu Fei finds Hero in all that chaos, hands him the gun, and flies off.
Yep.
As he comes out, he contacts him. Don't worry, everyone, I gave Hero his gun.
What?
And they're like, oh, okay, we're good. We're good. Hero's armed. Which leads to the scene... Actually, and they pretty much just recreated shot from shot in SD Battle Alliance, even. Where it flies down, rotates in atmospheric re-entry. So his suit's burning the fuck up. And the only thing he gets...
He just does the only thing he can do.
While saying... Quite possibly one of the most interesting things for Hero to say. A man who is constantly trying to blow himself up. I will survive.
After all of that torment, all of that inner torment of him wondering how many times do I have to kill that girl?
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. He decides he's...
all that time, he wants to live.
He takes the shot. I'll be honest, that shot of the Wing Zero in Neo Bird mode flying out from the fucking explosion from Libra is really fucking good. And like the series ends, like you kind of get where everyone is trying to do in the new peaceful world they've created. In particular, we see Relina actually now vice foreign minister between... She's basically the negotiator between Earth and the colonies. And she gets a teddy bear with a letter. She rips it up. Because he has to give it to her in person. Which, if that is not the most poetic ending for Wing proper. Since, you know, that brings us back to where we started.
Yep.
With just a few simple words.
Are you going to kill me, hero?
Yep. So from there... like I said, that's pretty much an abridged run of it. There's a lot of other stuff and a lot of other interesting philosophy you can have with some of these characters. Wing's main problem is, because it's such a large cast, they didn't really get... A lot of them, their character development felt rushed. In particular, I'd say I kind of wish, as much as it's fucked to say, I kind of wish we saw Catra building Wing Zero. Like, you know, seeing that descent into his madness.
Yeah.
I think the Troa Amnesia arc does... Troa didn't really need much of development. He just needed kind of a reason to live besides the mission.
Yeah.
That's Troa's whole thing.
He's like one of the most competent members.
Buffet needed to be knocked down a few pegs, and I think his relationship with Treize and Sally round him out perfectly.
Yep.
Like, Sally Poe, after Treize kicks his ass, like, he feels like a loser, doesn't feel like he has the right, Sally Poe gives him that reason. You fight for the people.
Mm-hmm.
Duo, on the other hand, Duo doesn't really change as a pilot from the beginning.
No.
He's their conscience. Well, him and Catra, I'd say, are their conscience.
Yeah.
Like,
which is why seeing Catra just shatter for a few episodes is really heartbreaking.
I remember when we got to that episode, I'm like, oh, we're getting to this shit. Let's talk about it.
I was very upset seeing him like that.
But it's also handled very well.
It's handled so well, but oh man.
It is a painful sequence of events.
Pain can make or break someone.
I can't use... There it is. Worship link. But, Hiro Yui, a couple characters say it. I think in particular, Zex Marquise says it a lot. That Hiro Yui is the kindest person of the Gundam pilots.
Yep.
And that might sound weird when we're talking about the character who, one of his most iconic lines is the phrase, "I'll kill you."
Kill you.
But the Hiro Yui we all know is kind of a persona.
Yeah.
It is the assassin guerrilla fighter he was trained to be.
But
that isn't Hiro.
That's never been him this whole time.
Hiro Yui constantly has multiple points where he could kill Relina Peacecraft. Hell, he nearly crushed her with the shield of Wing Gundam. And he asks...
so many chances to, yet he never goes through.
He's... I think one of the best scenes for it is when he is taking the multiple shots from the Ares when he's defending her. And he's like, what am I? He just screams, why? What am I doing? As he stabs the other one after nearly crushing her. Because she knows his face. He should be killing her.
Yep. And yet he can't bring himself to do it.
And
Ow.
it's popping again.
Yep.
Hiroyui never kill. Oh, outside of the one accidental kill of an innocent, he very much is not a. He's not a murderer. He only fights soldiers. It's very much I would say it's the Lelouch thing of like only those who are ready to die should enter the battlefield.
Yep.
So Hero is the kind of soul. He will never lie to them. He is always blunt to the other pilots.
And when he does lie, it's usually
Tactical.
for their own sake.
It's for their own sake, their own peace of mind. He never wants to hurt them. Except for when he steals parts from Duo.
Yeah, but you know...
They weren't friends. That was beginning of it. I would say the Zero system is what really marks turn. They bring up an X even. It's like... They say his friends really changed him. It's like, oh, what? Did he used to be better? No, he used to be worse.
He used to be worse.
What?
What? This is better?
It is better. In particular, I'd say the final battle between him and Zex and also his first battle in Endless Waltz are the prime examples of Hiroyui as a nice person. Zex Marquise. Zex is Char on like a more extreme scale.
Yeah.
To explain,
It comes with the territory, I think.
I would say, yeah, it comes with the territory of being the mask. The other reason I would say Zex is Char on steroids, because Char is very much, when he's killing the zombie family, it's because the zombies killed his father. Meanwhile, Zex wants to destroy the the Earth Alliance because they destroyed the Sand Kingdom. Then from there, he loses his way. Then he becomes the the figurehead for the independence of Space Noids. Which is very reminiscent of Char becoming a figurehead for Neo Zeon during the counterattack. Because, like, Char, after one of his speeches in it, says he hates wearing the suit. He hates doing all this. It's not him. But it's the role they need. So from there, and then I think we talked pretty much about Noin. It's poor girl's got it bad and she doesn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
From there, also the music. Wing has a lot of repetitive tracks, but you know what? Those tracks are fucking good.
They fit for the situation.
If there's one other thing I could say about Wing, as seeing both the original, like, airing of Wing and then the HD versions they re-released, one thing that the HD versions took away, there's a lot less shadowing. Like, I think some of it's more particular when they're in the cockpits, like, there's darker edges. That's lost in the HD cleanups. I'll be honest, I feel that kind of hurts it. Don't worry, I don't think the HD cleanups for Wing are nearly as bad as, say, Dragon Balls. Dragon Balls are god-awful.
Right.
But, I would still say, if anything, is definitely better to see it in its original intended.
Yeah.
But, from there, we jump ahead 1 year, Christmas Eve, Endless Waltz. Oh boy, Endless Waltz.
It's been a whole ass year.
A whole year of peace.
And it's time to say goodbye to some friends.
So, Endless Waltz is the film that takes place after the war of a year later after the end of the Gundam Wing series proper.
Yep.
It opens with Duo and Catra deciding they're disposing of the Wing Zero, the Heavy Arms, the Death Scythe, and the Sandrock. Not by self-destruct like, they reasonably should. No. We're doing this in style.
We're doing this in style. We're sending our friends off to Valhalla.
They send them en route into the fucking sun.
Yep. Because why not?
I think, in particular, I could get it for Zero. You don't want any piece of Zero surviving.
Yeah, because if that tech survives, then somebody's gonna find it.
And they don't want the Zero system being mass-produced. But, which is ironic given what's it called? Frozen Teardrop.
Yeah.
But
imagine if the Zero system was put into the mobile dolls.
it was actually.
Oh yeah.
Dorothy uses it when she's dueling Catra. And that's why she comes to the conclusion of we shouldn't ignore the Gundams. We need to kill them. But Zek said leave them alone. He's being fucking stupid.
Yeah. He not wrong in the slightest.
So it's been a year and there's some rumblings of problems going on. Relina, on her little peace voyage she does negotiating between the colonies and all, gets kidnapped.
Of course.
It has not even been publicly announced that she is kidnapped.
Yep.
Yet one person knows she has been kidnapped.
Real shit. Real shit.
I love that scene so much where they show Hero again and he has the fucking first hint of the fucking shit to talk about with Hero in this movie.
Yeah.
Dio's like, there's always one person working on Christmas Eve. We need to go. Why? Relina's been kidnapped. What the fuck?
What the fuck?
So Hero and Duo decide they're going to save Relina Peacecraft.
Yeah, as you do. Don't even care that they don't have their Gundams right now. They're just gonna go save her.
After breaking into the colony, they steal some Leos.
Yeah. It should be no problem. They just need.
They had no problem. It was just some other Leos, some mobile dolls.
Yeah.
Then they split up. Duo meets the first encounter with their new model, where its style is plant itself firmly in a choke point, fire down with its dual minigun and its shoulder-mounted missile launchers. Which is the preferred fighting method of one Barton. Which Troa got into this situation because he went undercover after some people from the Barton Foundation tried to kill him.
Because he's not actually Troa Barton.
He has no name. He just stole the name Troa.
He stole the name Troa after killing the original Troa.
Because the whole point of Endless... Oh, yeah.
Let's be honest, though. The original Troa was an asshole.
Yeah, he went to enact the... Okay, so, little thing. The Operation Meteor, we all know, we've talked about earlier, the plan of sending 5 Gundams to Earth, disguised as shooting stars, is not Operation Meteor.
Yep. It's actually changing plans, guys.
Let's drop a colony!
They were going to drop an entire colony as the first fucking move.
Which is... The Gundams were meant to go in as a deterrent after the colony drop, which is very reminiscent to what the original plan behind... why am I drawing a blank on its name? Oh yeah, behind the GPO-2 for Mobile Suit Gundam Stardust Memory. For those not aware, the plan for the GPO-2 was it's a heavily reinforced Gundam that would nuke a city, and then GPO-1 would go in afterwards. Yeah. To clean up after the nuke.
No survivors.
So yeah, that's what the plan for Operation Meteor was. They would drop the colony, the Gundams would go in, and then basically establish a government under the the Barton Foundation. None of the scientists agreed with this.
None of them agreed.
So
Which is why when a young engineer,
no name.
a young no-name engineer,
No. Wait, no, Troa didn't shoot him. I forgot. Troa didn't shoot him. It was another guy.
yeah,
Because he had a family living on Earth.
yeah, he had a family living on Earth and he couldn't stand by while they got killed.
So he shot Troa Barton, and from that point on, the pilot of Heavy Arms became known.
As Troa Barton.
And now he's undercover. Oh,
Just a young man that had nothing else to live for at the time.
so he takes up the name again. No name. He was a wandering mercenary for a bit before working on the Heavy Arms. He then joins the Maya army. Still, like, they believe he's working for, but of course we know he's undercover again.
We know. It's our Troa.
Especially because he fails to kill Duo, despite being in a choke point and firing 2 missiles at him.
Anyone could tell you
Yeah,
that he's not even trying.
he blew a hole in 2 holes next to Duo, so he had a way to get into the facility. Hero's opponent, on the other hand, was not holding back
Because it was fucking Wufe.
in the Nitaku. And Hero constantly tells him one thing during the entire fight. Press the button.
Press the button.
And
Press the button.
from there we go back. Katra's decided, because the Maya army is an actual problem, he goes to retrieve the Gundams. Which again, are on their way to the fucking sun.
But you know, it wasn't a full effort launch.
Well, it was a disposal satellite. If you got a ship that was faster, you'd still be able to outpace it, which he did. Katra's rich.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you know.
we could kind of ignore.
He's got that colony, that space colony oil.
We can ignore Katra for the rest of this, because that's kind of his whole thing. Him and his group, which, first off,
His whole arc is really just him
getting back the Gundams.
getting back his friend.
I will say, though, as much as we haven't talked about him, which is a little bit of a shame, because they kind of don't get much character development, his army, they're fucking great. I love.
God, it's so great.
Katra's based off of a real figure in history.
Lawrence of Arabia, I believe.
Yeah, that is Katra's whole character. His family traces back to the region. Katra's just pale as shit because he's lived on a space colony. He's never actually been exposed to the real sun until he went to Earth.
Yeah, no melanin.
Yep. And he has a love for the beauty of the planet. He's another kind soul put into a horrible position. So, Katra and his group go to retrieve the Gundams. Meanwhile, yeah, all the other pilots, we kind of know where they are. Hero and Duo now are just fucking around the colony. They then decide to... Oh god. They need to stop the Operation Meteor drop that they are planning to do. Which is where it's officially... We know he's undercover, but they reveal, like, oh, no, Troa's undercover. He's faking it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hero's one request to Troa. To Duo. I need you to hit me.
What?
He gives him a good punch. And Hero's response, thank you, punches him right in the gut.
Punches him right in the gut to knock him out.
He's like, I love Duo's expression during that scene. He's like, why? 1 for 1.
1 for 1.
Because he knows he didn't want Duo involved anymore.
Yeah. So, of course,
Take him out of the equation.
Take him out of the equation.
And yeah, again, Hero being a nice guy, he doesn't want him involved anymore. So from there, he also sent Catra Mal, send Wing Zero to this location, and from there we can move away from the Gundam pilots to. Okay, can we acknowledge, at least in a post-war Wing, they are not stupid enough to acknowledge, to like say, oh, just get rid of all our weapons. The world will be at peace after this. Blah blah blah. No, they had a peacekeeping organization.
Yeah.
There was a peacekeeping organization called the Preventers. It was made up of Noin, Lady Un, and Sally Poe. They only had one mobile suit to their name, and that was Noin's custom Taurus. Until during the events of Endless Waltz, where a new member comes in. As for a codename, preferably Wind, for one who puts out fires. Mm-hmm. With his machine, the Tallgeese 3. Zex Marquis survived, took the weapons of Epion, put them on the Tallgeese, and just fucked shit up.
Yep.
From there...
Okay. There are Arabian people who can have pale skin, blonde hair, and blue eyes. They're clustered around Morocco and North Africa.
Oh.
Called the Imazigan, more commonly known as Berbers.
Oh, I didn't know that. You learn something new every day, people.
TV Tropes has ruined my life.
But yeah, I did not know that. I'm not too familiar with all the history around Lawrence of Arabia. I know bits and pieces. But yeah, I actually just thought it was just because he was in space. You know, that makes it more interesting and actually helps add to the character. So from there, Zex comes back with a fucking bang, basically almost stopping the Marimea army in their tracks. Except then they pull out the colony threat.
Oh god, in the manga version, Area died too.
Yeah, no, they left her fate unknown in the anime.
Yeah. She was never seen again after getting knocked unconscious.
Yeah, because
she died along with the Ted.
Oh my...
But it was averted as a frozen teardrop.
Ah. Yeah, no...
She's going to be alive and well in the future. So that's good.
That's good. So... Can you imagine, how much of an asshole do you have to be? It's like, oh, you can't shoot me anymore. Like, you can't stop me. Why? If you shoot me, I drop a colony. It's like...
Right.
Fucking asshole. And can you imagine a Endless Waltz where Troa, Hero, and Duo were a second faster and that jackass didn't get away? Mm-hmm. Which leads to quite possibly my second favorite scene of Endless Waltz, which is the part where it plays Last Impression. You see the
Something to bring up about Wu Fei. Apparently in Battlefield of Pacifists, there's another explanation for why he made his Endless Waltz face heel turn. He met a former Oz soldier who believed conflict should be used to bring out humanity's best. In this case, encouraging deep space exploration. The soldier dies asking Wu Fei how far humanity will go, and as he flies off after the final battle, Wu Fei promises him that he'll be the threat that makes humanity advance.
Huh.
Interesting.
It's just because, yeah, Wu Fei, I was going to say that for when we talk about their characters in Endless Waltz. Wu Fei and Hero quite possibly have a lot more of the deeper philosophical questions of that movie.
Something else to bring up is, we actually find out why he doesn't like girls in combat.
Wasn't it because... Oh, yeah, no, I remember. I found this out. It was like in one of the manga. He had a wife who died!
Who died very tragically.
And, that's why he has this very strong stance against weak-willed people on the battlefield.
Marion was her name.
Yeah.
Mayron?
Yeah. It's...
she was in a Tallgeese prototype.
Yep.
She died from the G-forces.
Yep.
When when they were defending one of the L5 colonies from a biological weapon attack from the Alliance Space Force. Instead of letting the enemy seize the colony in Luffy's Gundam, she charges the enemy's head on, killing herself in the process. Jeez.
Yep. Like I said, Wu Fei has some. There's a reason Wu Fei is the way he is. Like, no.
It's just not shown very well.
Mostly because runtime issues.
Yeah.
They only had so much time and they had a lot of characters to do.
It was also like
They didn't. He didn't realize he loved her until that moment.
Yeah.
Which is sad. Very sad.
So, but yeah, no, my second favorite moment in Wing, Hero getting back into the Wing Zero. That whole scene was with the music playing, no dialogue. It is, and okay, to clarify also, we are talking specifically about the special edition movie version, not the OVAs.
yeah.
Because you have this beautiful song playing, no dialogue. You see the serpents landing on Earth after 1 year peace being broken. Hero jumping at high speed in space onto the Wing Zero, somehow removing the normal suit, and then turning on the Wing Zero. And our first clear view of Wing Zero Endless Waltz variant. They got my only complaint with the Endless Waltz one. They got rid of the bird mode,
Yeah.
but they fixed that with the one who designed it came back and redesigned it for version Kai, and gave it back the bird mode. And he flies off to solve the problem. From there, we also get... Actually, this happened earlier in the film. We also get quite possibly one of the most notable quotes from the movie from Marimeya Kushinada. The 3 beats of human history. War, peace, and revolution. Which is also the main focus point of Super Robot Wars X.
Was that X or B?
X, because X is the one with the crew with the Gundam pilots of Wing.
Okay.
Because basically, that is just human history. It's quite possibly one of the most true statements in that series about humanity. The idea being that peace breeds complacency, which then leads to war, which then leads to revolution, which then ignites the sparks of war, which then, once people are fed up with war, people will rise up to create peace.
Then once peace becomes tiresome,
People become complacent again, and a revolution starts again.
it's a never-ending waltz.
An endless waltz, one would say.
Yes.
So it's the whole philosophy of the film. And as this is going on, we cut back to Earth. Everyone, like all the Gundam pilots, are either on their way. Well, Hero is on his way to Earth in his duel with Wu Fei. Duo was broken out. It was reunited with Troa, and they're on their way to reunite with Catra to retrieve the other 3 Gundams. Meanwhile, Noid and Zex. Zex in a Toggies, which does not have the Zero system and is basically just a standard Toggies with Epion weaponry.
Yep.
And Noid in a fucking mass-produced custom Taurus. These fucking crazy motherfuckers are taking on the entire Marimeya army without the Gundams. Also, the other...
Best battle couple.
Best battle couple, but also the other amazing thing about this, and they even bring up, no killing.
No kills.
I don't believe there is a single real-time death outside of... If I remember correctly, during the whole Eve War, the Marimeya Revolution, one person dies.
Only one person dies.
and it's the one who deserves it.
Yep.
So, as they're all doing their fighting and everything, Wu Fei and Hero are in space having quite possibly one of the most philosophical talks in Wing. He's asking why Wu Fei is fighting. Treize is already dead.
He's been dead this whole time.
And Wu Fei's response is, I am still fighting him even now. He is fighting with the ghost of Treize Kushinada to this day.
He still doesn't feel like he deserves
To have, that he deserved to survive. And yeah, he's going through some shit. And
all this time Wu Fei's been just consumed by this.
And Wu Fei's whole thing is he's fighting for the soldiers who are, and this again is also kind of a little bit of a real thing. On every country in the world, I'd say that
There's always soldiers that are just immediately forgotten about,
disregarded, PTSD or injuries.
Just look at how some veterans are still treated to this day.
And we're not talking just in America. We're talking all over the world. It is.
I didn't say a country.
True. Yeah, it is very much a problem in terms of a war, because you get some, and actually we kind of see it in history where like some of these people who fought for these armies who are discarded after the war start revolutions, which leads to more war. Because
it's the only place that they feel they belong.
Yeah, because that's the whole thing of Endless Waltz. It's the cycle and like how it needs to be broken.
It needs to be truly broken, or else we're just gonna consume ourselves.
And Hero brings up the proper counterpoints to Wu Fei. It's like all that does is create more war. So what did all those people die for? Both are right, but because
both are also wrong.
Yeah, but and Hero asks him as they're falling through orbit, still dueling. Hero asks him the most powerful question, I'd say, in the film. How many more people do I need to kill? How many more
times do I have to kill that girl and her dog?
Before just turning Zero off and falling. As he falls, he asks Wu Fei. He tells Wu Fei, Zero can't give me an answer, and falls into the ocean.
It's just such a powerful moment, because it's such a powerful moment because not only do we see what's driven Hero this entire time, I feel it just shows how broken he's felt.
Endless Waltz sits in a very special place for Mobile Suit Gundam that it really only shares with one other film, and that is, one other series in Gundam, and that's Double O's Awakening of Trailblazer, of covering the world after the war. Because with the Universal Century, while we've had a post-1-year war series, the war never stopped.
It just keeps going.
Which Judao has brought up a few times in even Super Robot Wars. It's like, all these old grudges keep this shit going.
It's an ever-burning fire.
Yeah. It's why...
It's gonna end up consuming everything.
It's why UC will probably... Hell, it goes all the way to victory.
Yeah.
Zanskar is just Zeon by a new name. Same with the Jupiter Empire that the Crossbones fight.
Just more conflict on conflict.
And it's all the same shit, usually drawing back to Zeon Daikun, the father of Char.
It's just more people coming up with excuses
Yep.
for why they're better than everybody
which is we're seeing a little bit more. If you want a more condensed version of that, I'd suggest checking out Witcher Mercury. Witcher Mercury has been covering it pretty well in a very fast, different way because it's a reverse of what we normally get with Mobile Suit Gundam. Because normally it is space noids are oppressed by Earth, but in which it's the opposite.
Yeah.
In a little bit of promoting Gundam info, please sponsor me. God, if they were to ever actually sponsor.
No, I know what you would want to get paid in.
Give me.
Get paid in model kits.
Like,
You Gundam freak.
my first demand would be a Pale Rider.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair.
But, yeah, so Hero drops in the ocean, just leaves Wu Fei there with that question. And from that moment on, Wu Fei is just gone from the film.
He's just like, oh.
Like, how the fuck do you respond to that?
It's just like, holy shit, he just poured his heart out.
Fucking dropped himself into the ocean and asked, how the fuck do I stop killing people? And then we have the final battle in the city with the Gundams finally showing up. Again, no killing.
No killing.
I will say, I like the cape for Sandrock and the Waltz, but I kind of prefer the color scheme of base Sandrock. I think we talked about that during the movie, even. But fucking Duo's introduction to this, where like you see them all firing, you see the lights alarm going off, like something's above them, and you just see that cape open up. That's such a good shot. To the point, I think they recreated in both Crossray and X.
Yep.
It's just such a good shot. They go through this whole thing where they are just not killing any of the enemies, but they're disabling their mobile suits. The only issue is it eats up a lot of energy.
Yeah. And these are still the Gundam wing suits.
They
Not built for long combat.
yeah. For context, Heavy Arms has ammo problems. Sandrock only has physical weapons and ammo. Death Sight has a...
They were from the get-go meant to be the cleanup crew.
They're guerrilla fighters. Then on the side for... Really the only one who doesn't have... Actually, even he has energy problems, is Wing Zero.
Yep. I'd say Wing Zero probably has the biggest amount.
Yeah, I mean, at least... I forget...
Just look at it going right now.
I know. This is the prototype version, too. Which, first off, I like the prototype version's wings more.
Yeah.
But, they go through this... They go through this whole conflict without killing a single soldier. Disabling all their mobile suits, and then fucking Catherine, I believe her name was, the bitch who was dueling, Catra at the end. Dorothy, my fault. Dorothy with her fucking golden truck.
Just drives over.
Fucking brings up to a bunch of veterans. Like, she calls them all out, and they're like, you're looking at someone who shot down two mobile suits in a war a year ago. It's like, the only men I see always have their faces up on that screen, pointing towards the Gundam pilots, Noin, and Zax.
Mm-hmm.
And basically goes into the thing of, like, they're complacent in everything Marime is doing.
You're letting this happen.
And...
Because you're not standing up and fighting for yourselves.
Yeah, and basically they come to the realization, like, another war will be coming, and they're letting it happen in real time.
You're letting it happen because you probably just want another place to be.
Well, not even for them. For them, it's more so just... Oh, am I? I'm energy? Oh, shit. It's not that they want another place to B, I'd say it's more so. It's more so. It's also the because they're not all veterans. A couple of them are just normal people. It's just like the bystander effect. It's
Which
happening.
is a huge problem everywhere, I'd say.
It's happening to someone else. I don't need to get involved.
It's always happening to someone else. What matters is, are you gonna let it happen to someone else?
So then from there we cut back. Like we cut back to the bottom of the fucking ocean.
Because, hero is hero.
He's down there. The Wing Zero is already beat to shit from the atmospheric reentry. If you look at, like, plates are missing. It's missing a whole piece of its arm.
Yep.
It is not in a good condition. And Hero's just there. Waiting.
He's just waiting.
And Zero finally turns on and gives him an answer. And he tells Zero, this will be your last fight. Before flying off. We then have Relina decide to put out her message that if you want peace, you need to be willing to stand up and, well, earn it. You need to be willing to not only fight to earn peace, but also fight to defend it.
Yes.
Because there is very much a difference.
There's a difference between fighting for the peace and fighting because
I would say fight. There's also the difference of fighting for the sake of fighting.
Yeah.
So then from there, and that's, I think, would say is what pushes the people to get into the golden truck and all the other trucks with Dorothy.
Yeah.
And from there we go back.
I'll bet everyone that got into the golden truck had their own personalized pillows.
Probably God. Like fucking God. I don't know what was gaudier, the truck or the limo.
The truck. You expect the limo, but you don't expect the truck.
So from there we cut back. I will say, like, if you've never seen the animation for the Endless Waltz fights, it is fucking beautiful, some of the shit that goes on. You have Heavy Arms where it's wearing Troa's clown mask.
Yeah, I love that detail.
To the point that has been recreated in I believe in Super Robot Wars and actually it's even in Crossray that Heavy Arms Endless Waltz Marines will be wearing that mask.
Yep.
Or at least during some of its attacks. And I love that. It's fucking great. From there we get to during the fight you see Sandrock, one of its Schultels break. Deathsight has multiple missing plates by the end. And we cut to the end. They're all they've got Zex and Noin cornered and the Gundams all grouped up. The Schultels are broken. Duo's out of energy. And Troa's out of ammo. Relina lays into Maimei about, peace and everything like that. How no one will actually accept her as the ruler.
Yeah.
Which Maimei counters with the most childish of responses. I'll be the winner. They'll listen to me.
Well, that in and of itself should prove
You
were never his daughter.
Yeah, because that's not Trey's at all. So then she gets told the Gundams are all fine because they're done fine. They're out of ammo. They're out of energy. And I think it was Troa or Duo where it's like, the self-destruct could take out a few of them. No, we should do that away from them. The people who've been trying to kill them, they still refuse to use the self-destruct that could kill them.
They still refuse to take a life.
They're done killing after the Eve War.
And that just is so important.
Except, and then you have Hero. Hiro Yui kills quite a few people. Because he appears above them, gun pointed at them, and asks one question. one very important question.
One very, very important question.
Your base is secure. It goes on, and Marimea's only response, "Of course it is. Take your best shot and see how powerless you are."
Oh, if only she knew.
Orders received.
Orders received.
Cuts transmission. Takes the first shot.
And it almost cracks it.
Like, they feel it under multiple layers of, like, I'm assuming titanium. So everyone else is feeling, she's on the ground saying, what a horrible person he is. He won't accomplish anything. Rolita's just standing there like, are you scared? This woman has accepted death. So, and she tries to put on the tough face. He takes the second shot. And you hear the accuracy. The fucking accuracy is accurate to a millimeter. Or some shit. Like, it's basically the only deviation is the rotation of the fucking Earth.
Yep.
Then you have the third shot. The one that would kill everyone in there. Relina's like, ready. She's like, okay, my time has come. I knew this was how I was gonna die.
I always knew that Hero would shoot me.
And you see, for the briefest of seconds, that girl and her dog.
And that's what stops him.
He moves it. Like, in a blink and you miss it moment.
In a blink and you miss it moment, he moves it just off center.
And
just the right way that it won't kill them.
It should also be stated, he has removed the limiters on the Wing Zero's gun.
So it will definitely break.
Yeah, every shot is damaging Wing Zero. And then we cut to the inside, and fucking Lady Un saved them, basically, because, like, despite her not being His Excellency's daughter, she still she's bearing his name.
Yep.
But, and she's like, no, if you're gonna bear the name of Treize, you're going to learn what the fuck it means to bear the name of Treize.
And then the one asshole.
He's the guy who's the real puppet master behind all this, calls her forward to claim her victory. And Lady Un runs up, getting ready to slap the girl. And fucking Relina.
Just
Not even like prep or anything, just like an immediate slap, and it's just like you don't even see it, and you're just like, holy shit.
way to go, Relina.
And it's just like, it goes to the saying, sometimes you just gotta slap a bitch. Mostly because they're having this whole breakdown because Wu Fei shows up with the people from the trucks.
Yep.
All demanding, end this. We don't want this. So Deacon gets shot by his own men because he's a fucking dictator.
Yep.
And you know what?
They all do it because
It's not what Treize wanted.
They want to protect Treize's name.
It's not what His Excellency would have wanted. So they kill Deacon, and the war is about to end until Hero comes in. Marmee has been shot. She's slowly dying, and like she's basically begging for death. So instead of bleeding the fuck out,
And he has shown up and
has a gun.
He's got a gun.
And he pulls the trigger. You hear the click. You hear the hammer hit.
No.
There's no bullets. Sheep just passes out, and Hero is, I have killed Marimea. I never need to kill again, as he passes out. Yeah. Which is also why I think we should never get an animation of Frozen Teardrop. It's quite possibly the thing that annoys me the most about Frozen Teardrop.
It'll ruin everything.
Yeah, that's the main issue a lot of people have with Frozen Teardrop. It's like,
it'll just ruin message if Hero has to fight again. He
And
fought for so long, so he didn't have to.
yeah, from there you get the whole scene of the men who were in their Marmaya men in their mobile suits getting out and disarming. They burn the guns, the hats, everything. And from there, you cut to the dawn of Christmas Day, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Where it starts with all of them doing, with Catra, Troa, and Duo all pushing a button. Destroying the Death Scythe, the Heavy Arms, and the Sandrock. And from there we cut to Wu Fei in the mountains, saying goodbye to Nataku, and then joining Sally Poe as a preventer. Do you know what? I think that is the most appropriate place for Wu Fei to go.
Yep.
As much as I dislike where Hero goes in Frozen Teardrop, I think Wu Fei as a preventer is the best direction for him.
It's the most
consistent,
the most reasonable one for him, yeah. And he becomes the mentor for Sally Poe's daughter.
Yep. God, Frozen Teardrop is weird. Catcher, then Zex and Noin. Well, Noin deciding she's not letting Zex out of her sight for a goddamn second. They go to Mars. She fucking goes with him to Mars. And you know what? That again is also just appropriate for where Noin as a character should go. And then we get the credits that show where everyone is. You see Mai Mei survived the gunshot, and she's wheelchair bound, but she's alive. Catra, after destroying it, he runs a construction company with the men who were his soldiers, now his employees.
Because of course.
Duo, much like another favorite character of yours, is a junker.
I just have a type, you know?
He's a junker, and he's there with, as much as I always say I forget her name. Because Hilde. Because, yeah, she only appears like the second half of Wing. Grant, she's a great parallel to Duo. Because Duo is very much a man of the people thing.
As of right now, she's
dead.
Not confirmed to be his wife, but
she's the only woman he ever showed interest in.
Yeah. So there's only so much we can
extrapolate.
Yeah.
But she does, whoever his wife is does die between, and I'll be honest, we know it's Hildy, but yeah, it's still kind of a dumb thing for to do with the character.
Yeah.
But Wu Fei, as we said, is a preventer now. We see him in the middle of the desert with Sally tracking nuclear warheads.
Yep.
Rolina is at the White House, and of course, again, just blending in with the crowd because he's done and he can fuck off and do whatever the hell he wants. He doesn't need to kill anymore.
Yep.
Is Hero Yui. Oh, and Noin and Zex are playing chess in space.
Yeah.
That's Endless Waltz.
Because they're the best battle couple.
They are.
They have to be battling in some way, so they'll just battle each other.
Endless Waltz didn't have any character development, I'd say it explored the characters more. In particular, Wu Fei and Hero. Which, those are the two who needed it.
They really did, because they didn't get exploration as well as development.
Yeah. Hero in particular, I think, got a lot of development. Though we did see explore Hero as, like, as a bit more of a gentle soul with the fact, like, the kill me tour to the guy's family. Yeah. Like, he was fucking guilt-ridden. But, fucking Wu Fei as very much the duality between the two and what to do in a post-war state, it works. Like, Endless Waltz is one of, I would say, of the Gundam films we have, and I'm not counting, the compilations of, like, Zeta and the original 79. I'm talking strictly, like, Char's Counterattack, Endless Waltz, Awakening of Trailblazer, and Hathaway. I would say Endless Waltz, just because it's not burned down by the whole conflict between Char and Amuro, I would say Endless Waltz is a better film. Don't get me wrong, I think the Axis Shock is still one of the most powerful moments in Mobile Suit Gundam as a whole. But in terms of like a post-war scenario, if Unicorn didn't exist, you had that empty time jump between the Axis Shock and Victory, I think Char's Counterattack would be better. But because we now have that now, it kind of defeats the point of Char's Counterattack.
Yeah.
But, and no, because I brought this up on stream before, and I had to explain it to you, as someone who is now not a Gundam fan but has gone through Wing, would you say Endless Waltz is a Christmas movie?
Yeah.
I have brought this.
I will say it is definitely in the same blood vein as Die Hard being a Christmas movie. It's just closer to being the heart that is a Christmas movie.
Yeah. So what we do, I've explained this on stream, I believe, during Super Robot Wars X, to explain what my personal belief is behind it being a Christmas movie. It's not like, oh, they mentioned the word Christmas, there's decorations everywhere, and then violence. It's like, no, it's mentioned it's during Christmas, but it also is the spirit of peace on Earth.
Yeah.
Like
that true peace on Earth, and there's a lot of nods to the
Christmas truce.
The Christmas truce.
Okay, we're going to get into a little bit of real history here. For those who are unaware of the Christmas truce, during World War I, Christmas Eve, both sides just started singing Christmas carols, and for one day, they stopped bombing the shit out of each other, and they celebrated Christmas. They exchanged gifts, they sang songs, they just stopped fighting.
They started playing
games.
They just started playing ball in the middle of no man's land.
In the middle of, one of the most horrific wars to date.
Because it's what they all needed.
It was this...
They needed to remember that they are humans.
Which is why Endless Waltz in particular. That and, also, I personally kind of... I love the conversations between Hiro and Wu Fei, and honestly, I think it's one of the more accurate depictions of PTSD for some people. Yeah. Hiro is just trying to move on from the war, and he's just constantly plagued by that nightmare of killing an innocent girl and her dog.
I could imagine that whatever Hiro was seeing was slightly different from what we were seeing Hiro see when he was in Wing Zero. Back in the original series.
Yeah, no.
It's very likely.
Whenever that.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
While yes, he was seeing his enemy.
Zero was probably showing him that. Because very much through whenever Hero's in Zero, he doesn't get. Very much the thing that happens with Zero is they would show scenes in sepia tone where it's them seeing themselves die. But Hiro doesn't get that much. But he does get a lot of scenes where Zero, the whole cockpit glows and he kind of just knows what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
So I would not be surprised if he was actually seeing that shit.
Constantly seeing that.
I honestly, I like the fact that they covered more in a post-war scenario as opposed to during the main series. I feel that it fits better there.
It helps as a whole
Yeah.
that way. Because it adds more weight to what they went through, while also showing that even the peace times are going to be rough.
Yeah. Especially, now don't get me wrong, I don't think the world of Wing was in nearly as bad of a state as some of the others.
No, it wasn't.
The worst is still probably the state UC is in, but Wing, they went through some shit. As I said, it's in a special spot that it is one of 2 films that cover a post-war scenario. The other one is, as I mentioned, Awakening of Trailblazer. And both do embody different aspects of the world in a post-war scenario. Awakening shows humanity united finally and have to deal with an extraterrestrial threat. Which then leads to the best character in the Grand Gundam. God, that's so fucking jarring to me. But yeah, Endless Waltz works as a standalone film. You can watch it without watching Wing. It's more powerful with Wing.
Yeah.
Like because
you get the full story that way.
Yeah, because they do vignettes during Endless Waltz where they show them all getting into the Gundams for the first time. Catra gets told to just follow his heart by the one doctor. Troa has everything with the dead Troa Barton in the name he took. Duo tries to blow up Death Scythe.
Yeah, you know.
As you do.
Because when he gets confronted by it, he's like, I'd rather kill my buddy myself than let him be used for a massacre. And then the doctor goes into his shirt, pulls out the gun. I see after you blew up Death Scythe, you're going to kill me. I was going to kill everyone else here and then myself. This is ending here.
Yep.
Duo knew what the fuck he was going to do.
Yeah, and he didn't want to do it.
Yeah. Wu Fei... We never really see Wu Fei first getting into talk. No, wait. Wu Fei's is kind of a little bit jumbled because, like, Wu Fei's got his whole inner turmoil. He sees his colony exploding versus when he first gets into Taku for the first time.
Yep.
But Hero, we didn't see him get in the first time, though that was in the series proper. Where Jay gives him his code name of Hiro Yui, a pacifist
The world's greatest pacifist.
who was assassinated.
By...
As it's revealed in the manga, Hiro Yui's father. Or the man we know as Hiro Yui, his father.
yeah.
But yeah, Wing, at the end of it all, is the story of soldiers. There is no... The thing I've said before, there are 2 series I use overall to get people who want to try Mobile Suit Gundam, honestly, to give it a chance. Build, if they want to just feel, the action, the mecha, that kind of stuff. And don't get me wrong, Build's a lot of fun. Would you agree there?
Yeah.
I would say Build doesn't really hit the actual philosophy of Gundam until Re-Rise.
Build is what made me want to have a model. Like, at the end of the day, yeah, I enjoyed, like,
The characters.
Gundam models and stuff, right? But Build was what made me want to, like,
Build one.
get one and build it myself at some point. I still need to do that.
Yeah.
But
You have your Blue Destiny 3, which...
I have my Blue Destiny 3. I still need to build him, but that will come.
That'll come. And build, as I said, is very much, it's easy if you just want to get into the action. I would build one in particular, which interesting thing for those who are unaware, if I remember correctly, the showrunner for the first Build Fighters series is the showrunner of a little known anime. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it, called My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows. Like I could kind of see where some of the animation production carries over a little bit,
A little bit. Yeah.
especially with Reiji.
Yeah.
Reiji and his wife. Holy shit, that's great. But then Build, I don't feel hits the actual core philosophy of Gundam until, don't worry, you can say kind of similar to Wing with, like, you know, the people who play GBD. You get it with you know, what they fight for, what they believe, especially towards the end where it's the champ versus Build Divers, where, like, that's not a fight any of them wanted. They all hate it. At least everyone who knows what the fuck's actually going on hates it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Re-Rise, I think, hits the actual philosophy, especially after the that fucking whiplash. Like when you, but Wing, I give it also because you don't have Psycho Frame or Innovators, new types, Leia Vignana system.
The closest we ever get is Katra.
Yeah, no, Catra I would say is the closest we get to a new type, but that's mostly just because it's Catra's. It's never like treated in a spiritual sense. It's always treated as he's empathic. He resonates with all these people. So seeing them in pain and all this suffering he's caused, it hurts him. But it's never treated as like an extra sense or something that's special among him that no one else can do.
I do see that he's listed as a new type in TV tropes, but
He hits the markers, but he's not an actual new type. Wing doesn't have those.
yeah.
I think if I remember correctly, he's treated as such in some of the external material, like, say, Dynasty Warriors Gundam. I think he has a whole... No. I don't think he's playable in Dynasty Warriors Gundam. I forget. I need... God, I gotta play Dynasty Warriors Gundam again. I missed that game. But, he's always... I think probably in Super Robot Wars, they lean more towards, like, going into him being a new type. But yeah, he's not an actual new type, though, because there's nothing like that in it. I'd say the closest we ever get to, like... Wing is probably the most grounded of the Gundam series, since really the only fantastical element are the Gundams and mobile suits themselves. Everything else is something you could kind of see in a normal society.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the closest we ever... I mean, the only other one I get where you don't really have, like, the new type philosophy and everything there. The only reason I would say it is because it's not grounded at all. Is G Gundam.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, Domo's not special. He's not like a new type. He's not an innovator. He is just a man.
He's just a dude.
A dude who does crazy shit. But, Wing, especially to the American audience, has a very special place. Because Wing was one of the first Gundam series put on Toonami. And are we gating ourselves by saying we remember Toonami? Maybe. And we're not talking the new Toonami that plays on Adult Swim. We're talking old school Toonami back in the day with Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
For those unaware, back in the day, Toonami used to have Dragon Ball Z, Gundam Wing, and also G Gundam. Because a couple years back, they did 4K remasters of all the trailers that they had for Toonami. The one who did the narration for, I believe it's Big O and Gundam Wing, is fucking Optimus Prime.
Yep.
Wing was very important to the overall American audience of Mobile Suit Gundam. Mostly because we also did not get a good... It's not so much we didn't get a good dub of 0079. The main issue with 0079 was it didn't finish properly and they didn't know what the fuck they were doing yet with the Gundam franchise.
Yeah.
They hadn't really settled on the anti-war message. They toyed around with the idea, but they hadn't settled. I would say the Battle of Aboaku, they were like, nah, I don't know. The Death of Lala, I'd say, is where they're like, okay, we're going with the anti-war message.
Okay, yeah, let's go. Let's go with this.
And even then, it still took them a few years to fully refine it, because, you know, they had Zeta, Double Zeta.
Yeah.
If you go from UC, from just the original Gundam, War in the Pocket, Zeta, and then Double Zeta, there is some jarring shit in terms of tone. Wing, I would say Wing is probably the first real introduction we had. And it was flawed. I mean, I think some of the characters needed more time to breathe. If I was to redo Wing, I'd say maybe cut the cast down to 3. 5 was a little much, especially when they had them scattered all over the place instead of keeping them together.
Yeah.
Because the majority of the series, the Gundam pilots are not a team. They are all scattered on one like solo mission. The next time we would get a Gundam team this large would be 00, and Celestial Being stays together pretty much throughout the whole series. They don't get me wrong, they usually split them up, but it's usually into teams of 2 or 3. But yeah, I would say if you ever want to give Gundam a shot, try either... Well, I can't say try Build, because they've taken it off of... they've finally, after all these years, took Build Fighters and Build Divers off of Gundam Info. I expect them to come back at some point, but in response, though, if you want to try Gundam and you want something new and modern, Witch from Mercury is currently available on Gundam Info and going through it. They're releasing every episode on the channel once a week.
Yep.
Currently, the prologue, episode 1 and episode 2 are available on the YouTube channel. And this is not me shilling for Bandai and Sunrise. It's just something I feel should be noted.
But he will take payment in model kits.
Look, if they were to offer me a sponsorship and like to like promote something with Gundam, either a model kit or a new Dynasty Warriors Gundam game, I would.
You do it a heartbeat.
I do it in a heartbeat, especially if it was a new Dynasty Warriors Gundam game, because the last one, I'm so annoyed with the release method of that last one. But
I believe.
Yeah, I think we're done.
Everything.
Yeah. The only other thing is really the music, and the good thing. The only thing I can say, the music. I don't think the music's bad at all. The music fits.
It's that sweet spot.
It's that sweet spot. Rhythm, emotion, and just communication are amazing openings. Last Impression and... Oh, fuck. I'm actually forgetting the other song. Like, the main theme of Endless Waltz. Because, you know, I always remember Last Impression because it has that amazing scene with it. White Reflection. Both are great songs. And... yeah, that's really it. So, I guess for that, though...
That covers everything.
That covers everything. I have been Shade Rock.
I've been BK Kitsune.
And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you all later. After this, we will be back to regular schedule for Super Robot Wars.
Yeah. But immediately after this, I'm gonna go take a nap.
No sleep, no sleep, no sleep!